Hello, Cancer, and welcome to Indigo Rising Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you're having a great day. This will be your weekly reading for the week of August 2nd through August 8th. And during that time, we first have the waning gibbous moon energy, and that is a time of self-reflection and rebirth, a good time to make positive changes, get rid of our bad habits and negative thinking. We then move into that last quarter moon, and that's the 6th or 7th, depending on where you are. And that is a time when things are starting to come to fruition, those things that we started at the beginning of this last cycle. So we're doing some inward reflection, seeing what worked. We're trying to, do we have to make adjustments and restart this thing again on the next new moon, or are we done? Did you complete it, and are you happy with the results? So whatever that is for you, we're going to start to make those reflections and see what we need to do, because the new moon is starting to approach. So please keep those moon energies in mind as we move through the week. This will be an intuitive general reading for energies that you may or may not encounter, Cancer. So, as always, please take what resonates and leave what doesn't here on the table for someone else. And your overall message for this reading is that emotions are running high. Okay, let's see what the Cancer Collective has going on for the week. As I'm shuffling the tarot, my fun weekly reminder for you this week is that you try to pay attention to the synchronicities that are happening all around us every day in the universe, and really just for you. It's little messages that are there for you, like could be a number that you're seeing that just keeps repeating and repeating. It could be an angel number that you need to look up. It could be an animal that gets in front of you that you need to take on the attributes that that animal has to work on some issue. It could be a conversation that you overhear, or, for me, a lot of times I'll tune in and there's something on the radio. And it could be words. It could just be a little snippet I hear as I'm kind of, going through the stations. But weirdly, it's something relevant, something that I needed to hear about something that's going on in my life. So just pay attention to those synchronicities, or try to be a little bit more aware this week and see if you can kind of catch a few of those. So that is my fun weekly reminder. Let's get into this reading here, Cancer. August 2nd through August 8th. Emotions are running high. Your present energy right now is the High Priestess. So there we go with paying attention to those synchronicities. This could be, the High Priestess speaks of this. It's synchronicities, it's mysteries, it's those things that come to us intuitively that we're not even like, where did that come from? But these are all truths, and they're out there for us to see if we can, just take on that High Priestess energy to be aware, to be super hyper aware and vigilant of things that are going on around us. Sometimes we're just so distracted, especially now that we have cell phones. Sometimes you have to put down your cell phone. Especially, I'll do this if my partner's driving. I might be playing a game on my phone. And you know, sometimes we should be looking around. So I try to keep that in mind. Like, maybe not all the time am I playing a phone. Let's put the phone down, look around, see what's going around. I might be missing signs and things that are literally passing by me. So try to just keep that in mind this week, because there's the High Priestess to remind you that that's your present. You're kind of in that mode anyway this week. Your current situation is the Death card. So there might be some sort of ending that's coming about for you. And it's something that you do intuitively know about. And, death doesn't always have to mean actual death, even though it can. So you might have death around you. There's always a relative or this or that. And sometimes you're at a funeral, and sometimes it's expected or unexpected, but sometimes it is also just the ending of something, and usually a big ending. And this could be like, you're ending a time that you've been in school. Maybe you were going to college or getting some extra degree. Maybe finishing a doctorate. So the Death card indicates just the ending of this thing, the wrapping up, and it's the freedom after. So when that thing is done, I mean, it's like a good final ending. You never have to do that again, right? But it does open up space for new things, so for new life to come in. At the root of your situation this week, Cancer is the Hermit card. So, you may want to do some inner searching here. Look at 3 major arcana. So this is a major, we're getting into, when I have 3 or 4 major arcana, I start to think it's kind of a major week for you, that there's a lot going on. But at the root of this is you doing some inner searching and kind of hermiting. And it could be because something is ending and you're wondering what your next step is. So, the Hermit is he's got this lantern here, but he's only lighting his next step or two. It's not like you're looking a month or 2 or 6 down the road or years down the road. You're just looking for, what is my next step? This ending has occurred. Here I am. What is the next step that I need to take? In your recent past here, Cancer, 10 of Pentacles. So, you come into this with, some long-term wealth and security. You're secure. It's almost like you're prepared to handle whatever this is coming about. You've maybe made the preparation. Again, if it's the end of an education course, maybe it's the end of a job, the end of just something that's coming through for you. For some people, it's retirement. That is the end. That's a whole big life change. So, but it looks like you've made the preparations to know that this ending was coming about, and you're prepared and ready to move along with it. What is on your mind this week is the Five of Wands. So this is our card of, conflict, debate. It doesn't have to be heavy duty, but it is a card of conflict and maybe having discussions, heated discussions, and especially if emotions are running high, just make sure that you've done this hermiting already. You're working on that. You're looking at the signs from the universe, and we're going to just try to remain calm through things. I always say, when you're having discussions and heated debates, especially if there's emotions involved, of course you're going to stand your ground. You have your point of view, stand your ground and make your point clear, but also step back and let others speak. And someone might know something that you don't, and someone may have information that you don't. So just be aware that, take a breath, to kind of don't let those emotions get too overrun you, so that you're not listening to others also. So also listen up. What is just ahead of you is some giving and receiving here with the Six of Pentacles. So, and I'm even saying, some of this could be about emotions are running high. This could be an actual death where there is maybe an inheritance situation involved. Make sure, if emotions are high, maybe put these things to rest that involve pentacles, involve money, involve property, that sort of thing. Maybe let those things lie until these emotions die down a little bit. It's material things are not worth arguing over. So make sure that, it looks like there's going to be some give and take going on. You might be on the giving end or the receiving end of this. Wherever you are, that's fine, but just make sure, it's just not worth arguing over, especially if it's material things or money. It's just not worth it. What is in your advice position here is the Star card. So you need to follow the direction. This is like being on course, and follow that guidance from the universe, and trust that the signs that you are getting are there for a reason. Especially when it involves actual death. If this is like a death of a parent or a grandparent, there are definite signs there. Just pay attention. I mean, they come in so many different ways, and they do come through intuitive things, through dreams, through synchronicity. So, again, just be hyper aware and hyper vigilant of the universe this week. What is beyond your control this week are the lots of choices that you might have to make here with the Seven of Cups. So choose wisely. You've done your hermiting, you've gone in, where you are, you're centered, you're prepared to handle whatever this ending is for you. Also, you're ready to contribute to the discussion, right? But there's a lot of choices to be made, and again, maybe it's not the best time. It's kind of beyond your control that those things are there to choose, but you might want to let the emotions die down a little bit before you're making a lot of decisions. Things will still be there in a few weeks, right? In months. What is your secret desire? What are you trying to avoid? Magician card. So is it your secret desire at this time to manifest this new thing? The space has opened up for you with this ending. Are you ready to manifest something new, start a new project? You may be, but you also may be also trying to avoid that. And again, that's fine. There's no right or wrong answer to this. If you choose the Magician, choose your element and move forward in the appropriate way. If you decide that's not quite time for that, that's also just fine. In your outcome position, Cancer, is the Ten of Swords. So you're definitely, this ending is also bringing on just being done with a particular way of thinking, or things that have been on your mind. They're not going to be on your mind anymore. So whatever this is bringing that to an end. So you are going to have a little bit more mental clarity to open up and do things, and this will bring new thoughts. I wouldn't be surprised next week to see, maybe even the Fool card in there, and cards that speak of new thoughts, moving forward. This would be maybe the like the Six of Swords, which is about moving on and moving into the future with new thoughts, because you just don't, whatever this ending brought, you don't have to think about it anymore. You're done with it. What is hidden from you here at the bottom of the deck is the Three of Wands. So this is also about thinking about the future. We're not quite there yet. Again, I would look for cards like this, six of swords also. New beginning cards will probably come for you next week after you kind of, and maybe in the next couple of weeks, maybe not even next week. Tarot readings happen for a week, but life certainly doesn't. So, whatever this ending is for you, it looks to be pretty intense. And there's a lot of things, but you know that emotions are running high. You're getting a heads up from me. So take a breather and remember that any decisions that you need to make, any things that are going on, will be there in the next few weeks. There's just no need to rush. All right, let's get a final message here from the Soul Oracle deck. Final message for Cancer as they go through this pretty good size change here. Yeah, anytime I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 major arcana in this reading. So yeah, it is kind of a major ending for you. All right, final message here for Cancer. The creative now. And that is about holding off, and it could be right here again, holding off and not doing things that they'll be there in the weeks coming, because if emotions are just too high, it's not time to deal with that stuff there. So be creative. If you do have to say no, there's creative ways to say that, that it's actually not actually no. Putting people off, just setting meetings for further in advance. If this is something work related, even family related, it could be just setting that time off into the future. Like, we'll get there, not yet, but we'll get there. All right, what do you need to do in the way of self-care, which I think is probably going to be so important for you this week, Cancer? Self-care for you this week, Cancer. And the card for you is the card, wow, the card called time. Time spent worrying is time spent. The creative no, don't worry about things. You do need to take this time to let whatever this is, let it go, because when we let go with the death card, with tens, what that letting go does is opens up space for other things to come in, and typically more positive, better things, right, that you're going to choose for yourself. So Cancer, best of luck with this reading. This is a pretty intense one. If you're comfortable sharing, let me know, what thing are you ending? Was there some big ending for you this week? I'd be very curious to know. Also, if you have questions, I'd be happy to answer those for you as well. And if you like my reading style, hitting like and subscribe is really, really kind of you. So I appreciate you doing that so much, Cancer. Again, come back in the next week or two and let's see if you have some cards that are about new beginnings and things, because I feel like, this might take a little bit of time, right, to work this out and to get through it, but you're going to. And life turns and changes on a dime always. So good luck with all of this, Cancer. I will see you next week. Bye-bye.